Did I hang over 5 dozen citrus fruit from my ceiling to host a gorgeous summer dinner party? Yes, yes, indeed, I did. And if you would do the same too, then we are the same kind of extra. Welcome back to another episode of Dinner Party Diaries, where I take you behind the scenes on all my shenanigans when I am hosting gatherings. I'm Michelle Mubby Davies, and if you are new here, just imagine if Oprah and Martha Stewart had a baby, because I would basically be the end result, okay? I love rich, deep conversations, but I also love hosting, entertaining, and gathering people. So let's walk behind the scenes of what it took to put this together. You can see I've got my flowers from the flower market. I love using hydrangeas when I'm hosting. The vibe that I was going for was very bright. I knew I was doing a citrus theme on the ceiling, but I didn't want the florals to be too literal to reflect that. So I kind of went for hydrangeas in this really bright palette. I love greens and I love picking colors that complement each other. I always say your florals don't need to match exactly. So those other hydrangeas that you saw are Dutch hydrangeas. These are English hydrangeas. Just basically, like, you can kind of see the difference. I feel like the petals are a lot bigger on the other ones, but these are really full and really cheap. And you do get some bugs in them sometimes, so you kind of have to be mindful, and they don't last you as long as the other hydrangeas. But this is the day before, and typically what I like to do is prep the florals, because I have learned the hard way that you do not need to be trying to do every single thing on the day of the event. So I have all my buckets ready. Usually I like to treat the flowers even if I'm not going to be arranging them the very same day. So I have my floral scissors, I have my thorn strippers, my leaf strippers, which you saw in the previous clip. And I like to keep the boxes from when I go to the flower market. If you don't, you can just use a bin bag. And it just helps me to treat the flowers, to taking the leaves off the stems. And that's pretty much what I do. I really want to take some floral classes. I've never taken classes, but I would love to learn more and kind of develop my skill. Like, I love playing with flowers. I don't want to do it professionally for people, but I love playing with them and, just enjoying making my home look beautiful. But I feel like I want to learn a bit more. But from the little information that I've gathered online, I know you need to take those leaves off the stems, because you want to make sure your flowers last you as long as possible. And the leaf stripper comes in really handy, especially for dealing with things like roses, because the thorns can really prick you. And this is what they look like once I put them in the bucket. I have some foliage as well, some garden style roses and gladioli, which you can see in the pink and the bright purple. It reminds me of like a Palm Royale kind of color palette, the show on Apple TV. I don't know if any of you watched it, but I absolutely love the way this looks. Absolutely stunning. So yeah, the evening, I had gone out that evening. I can't remember where I went, but this was nighttime, very late, but I knew I needed to bake the cake the day before, because I just wouldn't have time, energy, and capacity the following day. And the thing with hosting dinner parties, ideally you want to do the things that will take you the longest amount of time ahead of time. I think I kind of quadrupled the cake recipe, which is why there's so much flour that I'm sifting through, and like my mixer was kind of at capacity because I put so much in there. And I love my KitchenAid. I always say I have this glass bowl, which I think is 5 liters, so it takes up a lot more than the normal stainless steel bowl. So I love swapping out the glass bowl, to use that instead when I'm hosting in big batches. Now, making bundt cakes is a great thing to have when you're hosting, but I also love to have kind of rectangular loaf cakes, because that also allows me to just cut the cakes up into squares, which is what I wanted. Now, I do need to maybe either get a mold for cake squares so it's neater. But this was just me tasting the cake in the morning, because I couldn't resist. Oh, it was a chocolate and hazelnut sponge. Everyone keeps asking me for the recipe. I will share the recipe that I usually use. All I do is just add different flavors. Like, I added chocolate hazelnut spread, and that's how I got the flavor, and creme de cacao. You can just play with things to kind of get the flavor that you want, but I experiment when it comes to like food and baking anyway. This was was this the next day? I'm losing timelines. Yes, the next day I just had a similar outfit on, or the same outfit, one of them. Anyway, I made a grid, which someone was like on Thread saying, oh my gosh, they didn't realize you could make a grid. And I'm like, yes, if we learned anything from Martha Stewart and all the other amazing florists online that share, making a grid is like the perfect way to kind of allow your floral arrangement to have a bit more structure. I know some people prefer to use chicken wire, but I love making a grid. You can use sellotape. The green tape that you saw is just floral tape. and it has this kind of sticky residue that allows it to stick to surfaces. But I literally just make a grid and I arrange my flowers. Again, I would like to take lessons, but I usually just add a bit of greenery at the base and then fill in the flowers, ideally in odd numbers. Don't ask me why that works, but odd numbers just, it makes sense for me. So this is the day of the dinner party and I had my friend helping me out, but this is us just attaching the stuff to the ceilings. All it is command hooks and the clear command hooks, and I just put fishing wire, poked it through like with a knitting needle, poked it through, or anything, skewer, poked it through the citrus, and that's it. I made a knot at the top so that it wouldn't just be like two wide pieces. I wish I recorded what I'm trying to describe, but I just made a knot at the top of the fruit so that the wire, the fishing wire, wouldn't be spread wide, and then that was it. Hung it up, like tied a knot and hung it up. Hopefully over Christmas I'll have a better example, but this is me laying the tablescape. And also I wish, next time I would add foliage to where the command hooks are so that that covers up the hooks, because I don't like how visible the hooks are. But yeah, hopefully another time when I'm doing another tablescape, I'll be able to explain this in more detail. But this was me laying the table. I was filming a campaign for Saint-Germain and the Hugo Spritz, the Saint-Germain Hugo Spritz. So good. Like, I am not an Aperol Spritz, babes. Too bitter for me. But I absolutely love the Saint-Germain Hugo Spritz. And then I also, for the welcome station, made charcuterie in martini glasses. I find sometimes when you do a charcuterie board, people don't always finish everything, and sometimes it can be wasted, especially if the cheese has been sitting out for several hours. So I just made charcuterie in martini glasses. I was like, this is a thing. You can do it in mini bowls, appetizer bowls. Crate and Barrel have great appetizer bowl. Home Sense, Home Goods, all of the TK Maxx kind of chain, they have cute little bowls that you can use instead. But I think this approach of kind of portioning out the charcuterie makes sense because then you have less wastage. And I think that works out in the long run. But I love how cute that looked. I will show you what the welcome station looked like at the end, because I've realized the order of these clips are just a bit weird as I'm doing the voiceover. But bear with me. All of this was shot vertically. So I've had to adapt it to be horizontal. So my apologies about the framing and some of them. One thing I love to do when I'm hosting dinner parties, guests had sat down, is kind of make sure that there's games for people to play. And I don't know why as adults we feel like we can't play games, but as a hostess or host, this buys you so much time when you need to maybe prep starters or prep food because your guests are enjoying themselves playing games. And especially if you have an open plan kitchen, you can hear what's going on and you can be part of the games too. I kept jumping in, and like, this is like a version of charades. It's called Giddy Words. So it's like Nigerian focused words. But it's like taboo and charades mixed together in one. But it was so much fun because, yeah, people are playing games, getting to know each other, especially if all your guests don't know each other. It's a great way to break the ice, allow them to, like, have fun. And so I plated the starters up family style. I made a kale salad. I also made chicken karagi, which some of it got burnt, but we're going to overlook that. And I also had focaccia and sourdough bread slices. And I love plating things up in these serving bowls, and guests just get to pass them around. They don't overstuff themselves because they pick what they can actually eat. And I also had like a dipping sauce for the karagi chicken, which was basically like sriracha, mayo, honey, like a bang bang sauce kind of thing. Then for the mains, I served up duck. I had some duck breast, and then I also had some chicken. I also had some duck legs. And to keep them with the citrus theme, I made kind of like a citrus glaze that went over the duck. Why do I keep saying chicken? Over the duck. And this is me spooning that on. I also had some roasted shallots and just, like a little dressed salad. And it was served on a bed of butternut squash and sweet potato, which I usually puree up. And this was everybody enjoying. So I gave everyone a mixture of the duck leg and the duck breast because I knew we went light on the starters. But everyone absolutely loved it. Then this was the cake. Like I said, I ideally would love to have molds, but I just need to find the right molds that would work because cutting it up, it doesn't come out as neatly as I would like. I served it with this pistachio gelato, which is absolutely incredible. It's from Badiani, but honestly, if you serve ice cream, typically try gelato instead. And if you can find a good gelato store where it's actual gelato, not pretend gelato, and the flavor is there, incredible. This pistachio gelato has pistachio creme like swirled through. It's a bit on the sweet side for me, but for most people it's like it works really well. What I would do is actually serve a scoop of that and a scoop of their plain gelato, which is also absolutely stunning. But that was it. We ended the night with some vanilla chai. I love introducing people to different teas that they haven't, experienced before. And vanilla chai is so good. I can't remember what brand it's from. I'll link it below. But at the end of the night, it's so great to be able to serve teas and coffees. This is me showing you what the welcome station is. Yeah, the clips are out of order. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. This was just me making sure that you got to see a snippet of this dinner party. A lot more of it is on my social media pages at Marby's Kitchen, on everywhere else. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.